Hey guys, so quite often a lot of people kind of ask me how to improve in Smash, and honestly, people will try to expect a one clear-cut answer on how I became really good, and sometimes it's not always that simple. So in this video, I'll be talking about 5 tips I personally would use specifically when it comes to improving at Smash, and this can apply to doing things both in the game and out of the game. Mainly out of the game and the processes that you can use towards improving at Smash, becoming a stronger player. So let's get started. The first tip is actually what a lot of people already do, but I think people should do it more, is ask for advice. Now, the difficult thing about this tip is a lot of people, again, like I said not that long ago, people ask very vague questions, titling like, how do I get better? How do I kill better? How do I not get hit? Questions like that, while you might get, it's a vague question, so you're gonna get a vague answer. You wanna try to be as specific with your questions as you can. Like, hey, I'm getting ledge trapped and I just keep getting hit during my ledge jump. Is there something I could do there? Or I always get hit when I'm trying to recover to the stage. I can't seem to hit you in neutral because you're dashing back. What do you think I should do? The more specific your question can get, the more specific your answer will be. And that's probably going to help you a lot more than a vague question with a vague answer. Thankfully, there's a lot of places you can ask for advice. A lot of top players are very active on many forms of social media, and there's a lot of discords where you can ask specific character questions for your own character too. Again, the more specific your question, the more specific your answer, and the more answers you have, the better your gameplay will be, I guarantee it. Tip number 2 is going to be watch your VODs and watch other players' VODs. The thing with this is it's really difficult to understand what to find out in a VOD. So the main things I would say to look out for is 3 things. 1, how are you finishing your opponent's stocks? 2, how are you losing your own stocks? And 3, just how often are you losing like the neutral? How often are you getting hit? How often are they getting hit? And like, how is that happening? Like, what move are you getting hit by? One thing with this that I can say personally, when it comes to losing the stock, if you can avoid those situations a lot more, then I mean, clearly you're not going to lose your stock, right? So it's always important to watch just how you're losing your stock and trying to avoid those situations, so that way you can just play the game a lot more per stock, which just leads to overall better gameplay. While again, on the reverse hand, and I know this sounds simple, but just trust me, if you can force the situation where you take your opponent's stock a lot more often, then your opponent gets to play the game less, right? It's pretty much an easy way to figure out where you're winning and where you're losing is just watching footage. Just watch replays of yourself, and if you think of this like, let's say homework, right? And you got to turn in your assignment, and you're like, wow, I can't really figure out what situations where I can set my opponent up to lose their stock. Well, surprise, there's a lot of footage out there, both for your specific character or maybe for the character you're having trouble against. And you can just cheat off of other players' footage. They already did the work for you. The answers are out there. All you have to do is go and find it. It's a very, very great habit to have. It's like asking for advice, except instead of talking to a person, you kind of see their conversation through gameplay. Both your own conversations, your opponent's conversations, other players' conversations. There's so much information for you to take, and it's all just waiting for you. I think this is one of the easiest ways to improve because the answers are already there. The third tip, this is a big one, and I see this in pretty much every game, but the third tip is play to learn. Now, of course, the end goal of winning a game is, well, I already said it, winning, right? But there are a lot of situations where you're not really trying to win. Like, if I'm playing Elite Smash and I want to work on a kill confirm, I probably gain a lot more experience seeing the situations where the kill confirm works, seeing the situations where it doesn't, and just repeatedly trying to force the situation and see what experience I can gain through the match. However, if I specifically like just play to win and I get the W doing the same things that I was doing, it's not a bad thing, but you don't get the experimenting. You don't get to understand the situations where other things would work. And most importantly, you don't make mistakes. I mean, you might, but you're not making mistakes that end up growing yourself as a player. Now, no player got to the top without making mistakes, without experimenting, and there's going to be aspects of your gameplay that are a lot weaker than your stronger aspects, and even in your stronger aspects, there's definitely going to be things that you can experiment with. And the best way to do this is playing to learn. If you can disassociate like the feeling of winning with the feeling of learning, because sometimes learning is a win, Like, if I come out of a match and I lose, but I got to hit that kill confirm that I've been practicing and I just wasn't getting it for like the last hour, and I hit it one stop, not even two, one stop, I would feel great. I would know that the options that I'm going for, while they're really difficult and very unfamiliar to me, are leading into my growth as a player and are helping me improve. And I think playing to learn is something that a lot of people can apply to a lot of things. There are situations where you need to win, of course. If I'm playing in a tournament bracket, I would like to win. I would not like to learn and lose a match. But if it's not a tournament match or like super serious friendlies, playing to learn is the way to go. The fourth tip is going to be learn what's punishable. Now, this kind of ties into understanding what frame data is, and frame data is how fast a character's move is, or how safe a character's move is, how laggy a character's move is, all of that stuff. And the biggest thing with this, like, Smash Ultimate has a lot of characters, don't get me wrong, but you also have to understand your own character's limits, Because at the end of the day, one of the biggest constants in your own matches is going to be the character that you pick. So if you can start to understand what's punishable on your own character, you can kind of play around that, If you're at a percent where you can take some risks, you can go for a little riskier combo starters or kill confirms. But once you get to higher percents, it's a lot more often that if you take these risks, you're probably going to lose your stock. So you'll start to go for less punishable things because the risk reward isn't really there. And the more matchups you play in, you'll start to understand like what other characters' safe moves are, what other characters' unsafe moves are, how you can punish them. And in this game, it's really difficult, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really safe moves that you're going to have to deal with. But there's a lot of really safe moves that your opponent is going to have to deal with as well. So just make sure you understand what's punishable on your own character first and foremost, and then you can start branching that out into other characters in the game. And lastly, this is actually the #1 tip I tell everyone, and this is probably the most basic tip. This is tip number 5, play the game. Crazy, right? But the reason I say this is Smash is a very unique game. Smash is a game where you can express yourself and be pretty much the most creative that I've seen in many games. Because there's air drift, there's walk speed, there's dash speed, there's a lot of options that you can do in a lot of scenarios. And while I can be telling you a lot of these things to work on, the best way to figure things out is going to be playing the game. Just learning by putting yourself out there, seeing what you can gain, seeing what you can't gain, and have fun with it too. you can see a top player doing amazing options, but if you want to go for that hard read because you just have that feeling, you know, just go for it. Just understand why it's good, why it's not. Start to become the best player with that one unique option that you do. And none of that stuff really comes without playing the game. Playing the game will give you a lot of experience, don't get me wrong. Even if it's playing online or playing against the same opponents, there's always something that you can learn from playing the game. And that, in conjunction with the other 4 tips, guarantee your gameplay will start improving.